I'm in Los Angeles.
We were talking about how like crazy California is in terms of it's snowing, it's raining, there are earthquakes, and there's just this feeling of like what natural disaster the Rock film is about to be like filmed there in real life. Like it's just a lot of
Oh,
energy over there. Can you hear me?
I didn't even notice that. What is that movie?
No, I'm saying the reality of it feels like a The
Oh,
Rock
okay.
film.
Yeah, these last 4 or 5 months have been crazy. I feel like I've been in Seattle and London, but I've just been in LA, and the amount of rain, the cold, it's different. It's definitely it's something to take notice of that something else is going on, like in the atmosphere in the world.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
I mentioned that
where are
because
you based?
I'm based in New York, and
Oh,
I mentioned that because I feel like a lot of artists. I've been doing a lot of interviews this week, and people are still in their some artists are in their pandemic blues, but some of them are just like I don't even forget the pandemic. What is going on next? There's just this energy of a lot of dramatic changes. Do you feel that as an artist right now, especially like you just told me you're coming from Seattle, you're coming from London?
so no, I wasn't. I was coming from London, but I'm saying it feels like that in Los Angeles
Oh,
based on the
okay.
weather that we've been experiencing. It just started feeling like LA about a week ago.
Ooh.
You know, since October, which is that's not why we live here. We live here for the sunshine and the warmth. The perfect weather.
Yeah.
But something's happening for sure, and I don't feel like I'm in a pandemic right now. I do think that definitely things are happening in the economy right now that you should take notice of. But
Yeah.
I feel like I'm ready to go. Like I've been traveling, I've been touring, and I I'm definitely not letting the pandemic hinder me from doing what I need to do.
Or world news rather.
Exactly. I mean, I'll use wisdom and caution, but I'm not gonna let it stop me. I don't move based on fear.
But do you feel like it influences your work in terms of what you create to ease people, to give people hope? Like, do you think there's a little bit of because one of the artists I was talking about was saying how it's not so easy to write personal stuff anymore. Now it feels like you got to write universal stuff, global stuff, something for everybody, not just your own story. And I'm wondering, do you feel the same?
I do. I mean, right now, after we get on this, I'm gonna go to the studio. I just wrote a song about Ralph Yarl. I don't know if you're familiar with
No.
what happened in Kansas City. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
yeah.
Wow. That must have been a purge,
So
an emotional
say that
purge.
again.
That must have been an emotional purge, that song.
You know, I was him
Wow.
at 16 years old, playing the bass clarinet and just trying to help my family. And it just like hit me so hard to see he almost lost his life, and how traumatizing that is to just be a young black man minding your business, actually striving for excellence, doing excellent, and still having your life could be gone in a second just
Yeah.
because you're black.
Yeah.
So that does influence my art. Definitely, the world influences my art, and when you talk about universalism, I do think that's important, especially now with the internet, because culture is not as regional as it used to be. You
Mm.
know, because there's people that like the same things, you know, in Sweden, or there's people that like the same things in Trinidad. So with the internet, you can find your niche, and you can. I don't necessarily think universalism is a bad thing. I think that we should embrace it because you can reach anybody with your art anywhere in the world,
Yeah.
if
I
that
think
makes sense.
no, I actually it does make sense. And I think you touch upon something very curious because artists have always struggled to stand out or feel like they're standing out. And now on the internet, that feeling, I don't even know if you can have it because of universalism, you're saying, and that the idea that culture is not as regional anymore. It's all murky and who whose culture is this? Where does this belong? Do you feel then that universalism is good, bad, both, or just like this frustrating ego trip? Because sometimes I know things are
Mm.
universal and I want to be like, Jesus Christ, love, let's all be equal and peace. But there's sometimes you're just like, where's the special? Where is the specific? Where is the unique?
Yeah, that's a personal thing where I think that everybody needs to look at their life and what makes them unique and bring that into your art, bring that into your music. So for me personally, I want to bring all of myself into my music. My Jamaican culture, my East Coast culture. I'm from Jersey. Bringing in my spirituality into my music. And for me, I'll be doing a disservice to people if I don't bring all of me to music. So I hear what you're saying. I think when there's trends and I think it's sometimes insecurity. People are afraid to be themselves.
Yeah.
You feel
Yeah.
me?
Wow, I think that's really way more powerful than I think that's really powerful because of the idea that maybe the most unique thing about you is you. And when we get into universalism, the fear to accept it or embrace it, which is why I said like kind of an ego trip, is that we base our specialness on trends, on our cultures, on our histories, on our identities. And it's kind of this, it feels like you're touching on this idea that I think a lot of artists believe or insinuate, which is there is an essence to every human being that is 100% them, that no one can take. But if they're not strong enough, they'll never realize it.
Exactly. And it comes from self love, though. You feel me?
Yeah.
Because if you don't love yourself enough to see the beauty in everything you've experienced up till now, you'll think that external things validate you. You think that you being like this trend or driving this car or even playing this stage in this festival is going to make you validated when you yourself, by just existing, is enough to be important.
Yeah.
Everybody matters. So if you're not embracing that, I think it's a sign of lack of self love and true inner work that you sometimes people don't want to hear this kind of agenda. Um, but the inner work that you need to do to recognize who you really are.
No, I absolutely agree. And I think there are a lot of people that need inner work. A lot, even the people that say they've done the inner work need a little bit more. So
Me.
well, you were talking and you just made me so curious. What do you're talking about self-love. What do you feel is the greatest act of self-love you've given yourself?
Grace.
Oh, ooh,
Grace to trust that like everything that you're supposed to be is gonna happen in its right time.
mm,
And grace to forgive yourself for things that you may have done yesterday or the
yeah.
things you might do tomorrow.
Ooh, I love that because the minute you said grace, I was like, up, there are some regrets. Because I feel like grace is what you give yourself when you're having a hard time or you just can't even forgive the things you didn't know, the things that you did that you really swore would be better. And in perspective, you're like, what the hell? The people you let in that you thought were love and weren't. Grace is very powerful, very, very powerful. Do you feel like in this current time of you making music, of releasing, touring, that your grace is going further in a way? You're kind of like, I got to give myself even more grace than ever because of what I'm going through right now.
Yeah. So definitely. I'm learning that I need to also just allow myself to really feel what is going on and come authentically to my music and also give myself grace to take my time because a lot of times we get pressured by deadlines. Oh, like you need to have this album out by June or July. or March, you know?
Yeah.
And that's where I'm expressing grace to myself is I'm not gonna give the best of myself to the art if I don't actually allow myself to experience what is happening in the now. What is now saying about my life that the world may need to know? It's a lot of stuff.
I'm curious then, because it sounds like you're a perfectionist. A little bit, like there's a little, because I've never met when anybody says deadlines, it's always the perfectionist that is like, "Don't you dare give me July, because if it's not perfect by July, we're going to August."
I was just right before we got on this call, I was just on the phone with my cousin and she was talking about that. And I'm gonna just say the same exact thing. And I think that I'm not a perfectionist. I believe that I've overcome that.
Yeah.
I think that perfectionism is just a branded term of procrastination
Ooh.
and fear
Ooh, yeah. Yeah.
because nobody's perfect, you know? You can strive for for perfection,
Mhm.
but that's unrealistic and that's not applying grace,
Yeah,
you know?
I absolutely agree.
So I'm not gonna say that I'm a perfectionist. At one point I definitely was, but I don't want to be perfect. I want to strive for perfection, but I don't want to let that stop me from putting out what needs to be put out and saying what is reflective of the times.
Yeah. I would say perfectionism, I would agree, it's very fear-based, but I also think that for artists, there's the song in your head and then the song that becomes reality. And I think that the perfectionist, because I have a little bit of perfectionist in me when I make music, is the coming to terms that the song in your head will not transfer. And sometimes I swear the song in my head is so beautiful. It's such a hit or it's so artful. And then you go on your Logic Pro and you're like, what the hell is this? Did somebody hack my Ableton? Like, what is this? Like, and I think that it's not all, I think it is very fear based, but I also think that there's this kind of this natural punch to your ego when you're making music, in that you will always, the art lives in your head, not in the reality. I would think.
Again, I think that's where grace applies because it may not reflect today, but over time it will. And I do think that not just in music, I do think that I'm living in what was in my mind a few years ago,
You
if
think
that
that?
makes any sense.
No,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, for sure.
But are you living in it in terms of negative, positive, in terms of like kind of manifestation? What do you mean by that?
Positive, meaning that everything that I wanted to be, I'm becoming.
Mm,
And you have to allow it may not for instance, like even the album that I'm making right now, I wanted to make this album in 2020, but I wasn't him then. I wasn't that version of all the things weren't aligned in my life then. So it may not happen in 24 hours. It may happen over 10 years where what's in your mind actually comes out into the earth.
mm,
So that's where grace applies though, is that things don't always happen on our timeline, like
yeah,
our expected expectations of this is in my head, it needs to come out on this song. It may take you 20 songs to communicate what's in your mind.
yeah,
And you're gonna get better at articulating that thing over time. You're going to.
yeah. I'm curious then, going with this idea, is there a song that you've written recently that you felt was like a manifestation? Like it either confirmed that what you knew would happen happened, or kind of told you what you feel will happen in your future.
Well, in terms of sonically, songs that I feel like represent where I'm at now musically would be like Get You Right on my album Dominion. To me, that's what I was going for in my mind. And does that answer your question?
Yeah, it answers it, but I also I find first of all, your answer is interesting because I do think that we can predict sounds that are about to come up. But I also think, there's this idea that you can write your future. People think that. And I'm curious, there are artists who have said, they wrote about a relationship that wasn't there. And then the person came. Do you feel you have done
Wow.
that as a lyricist where you kind of
Mm.
wrote? I mean, one girl wrote about a Jeep that she wanted, and then she got a Jeep like 2 years later.
Ah, I
Like,
hear what you're saying.
like one of those, like you don't even know you're doing it, but you're writing your future or you're confirming your past. Do you feel you do that when you write?
Definitely. I definitely feel that like my music is um like prophetic, if that's the word you'd use.
Yeah.
And I do feel like some of the things that I've put out into the atmosphere haven't happened yet. Even like that song "Get You Right" in terms of I'm saying, baby, come and get you right. We can make it last for life. I don't know if that person is in my life right now, but it's possible. But I do believe that that song is an affirmation of that, like that everlasting love that's gonna happen.
Ooh, so it's
You
like
know,
something in your soul is saying you have a soulmate. Just wait 5 years.
however long it takes, I'm with it.
Yeah. No,
You know,
I think that's really cool because I think that's hope. And I think a lot of artists struggle for hope. And they need their own music to do that. Which is why do you feel then that you kind of, because when I hear your songs, there's a little bit more of a positive bent compared to other music out there. Do you think that's why you do it? It's like we're already sad. We don't need to sing about it. Is it one of those?
yeah, yeah. I mean that comes from who I am as a man, but also like even my culture, like Jamaican people, Caribbean music. We don't write songs about sadness. Like it's really about whatever's happening. Let's forget about that and let's just experience goodness. That's why so much music is about get up and party. Or you know enjoy the cool breeze because your words have so much power, and you got to be careful what you let come out of your mouth
Mm. Yeah.
because it's going to tell you what's happening tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Especially like in terms of the Caribbean. I feel like I'm Puerto Rican and I feel like
Okay.
sometimes I'm mesmerized by how happy and jovial we are for how screwed we are. And I'm sure Jamaica's the same way. It's like you go to these places and they're tourist destinations, but they're also your people and you live there and
Yeah.
you stay there and you got family there. And to see this spirit of joy that so many people in the world challenge, not terms of only in resources and governments and laws, but also like how can you be so happy? Like, do you not see what's happening? But I think that
Mm.
it's kind of what you're saying with music. It's kind of like, why does the music or the culture, the people, why do we have to focus on the bad? Can't we just sing to good enough till it becomes realized? Do you think we could do that?
Yeah, I think so. Cool. So I think that's something that has happened in American tradition where we find the tendency to only sing about the struggle. Think about it, all the way from slavery. And it's important to recognize what you've gone through and what you're going through. However, I don't want to be a slave to my feelings, or I mean, a slave to my environment and circumstances,
Yeah.
because at some point you have to detach from what's going around and hope for a better thing. And even you look at hip hop music, and I love all these sounds, but we don't only have to sing about the negative. Why can't we sing about good things? And that's something that's like really rooted in how we approach music in especially in Black America. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So why do we have to sing songs about heartbreaks and breakup all the time? I've got some, but why can't like why can't the perspective be, oh, that didn't work out because something better is? on its way? Why do we have to dwell on the negative, you know?
Yeah. No, it's kind of funny because my mother, who has like no talent at all for music, but she said something that always stuck with me. She says the best songs are happy ones that acknowledge sadness or sad songs that acknowledge happiness. Like they both, either way, they have to have a level of hope and acknowledgement of the other's existence. And I think that a lot of songs, they either, most of them are sad and few of them are just like pure jovial. There's not a lot of songs that are either happy or at least balanced enough to say, yes, I'm sad, but tomorrow will be better. And I think that kind of what you're saying in terms of America, especially Black America, it is song music is written as this weird thing. Like it's supposed to be cathartic to always write about your struggles. But if you never get over them, there is a feeling like you're feeding them
Exactly.
feeding the pain. And I think about, I always mention this, I think about this Amy Winehouse interview where she was talking about like she kind of screwed herself because she writes her music according to her pain and then she sings about it every night. And it's like she never got better because you feed the
Mhm.
spirit of the pain in some ways.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
I think
you
that's
don't,
a great way to say it.
yeah, you don't even realize you're doing it. It's the spirit of the pain that gets fed. It doesn't necessarily mean that things don't get better, but you don't feel better, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, because you're making a moment out of no, you're making a life out of a moment. And
Mm,
that's now the soundtrack to your life. One thing that I went through or one thing I experienced in my childhood, yeah, but that doesn't define the rest of my life.
mm. Yeah. I didn't see it like that, but yeah. Yeah. So I imagine when you think of the tortured artist, the legendary tortured artist, you're like, who is that idiot? Like, do you think that that person? Because I always felt a little bit like the idea that your torture is your art is just it just cuts your talent in a way. Because then what's pain isn't a talent.
Whoa. I don't think it cuts your talent, but I think it I think it has a spiritual implication on your life that you have to deal with now and everybody that listens to it because music is subconscious. Music passes the conscious and will impact you. So there's a reason why you listen to a sad song and you were happy, everything was going great, and now you're sad. All music is a certain way when you hear certain music, so music passes the subconscious, and when artists realize the power of music, they may handle it better. They may manage that gift better.
Oh, I lost my video, but I've been hearing you the whole time. And yes, I think that's what I meant by cut off. I think that pain makes things so much harder that to come to I think the idea of the tortured artist is that their talent is tied to their pain, and I think their pain is what chains it, because then all you do, you're just waiting to explode. Like you'll make 20 paintings in one night because you're so heartbroken, and then you'll go through months stuck waiting for that heartbreak to build enough so that you could paint another 20 paintings. There's something about
Wow.
pain that I feel we think it's brilliant because it only allows your talent to come in bursts, whereas clarity can give you constancy. And I don't think a lot of people see it like
Wow.
that.
That's so true, and I don't wanna be a slave to my pain in that way,
Yeah.
where I'm dependent on it, because like, people say, "Oh, well, this relationship didn't work out, but at least I got a song or an album out of it." Why do you have why are you pimping yourself out like that? You feel me? Like, why are you sorry if that was too much, but,
No, it
why are
is
you
a
doing
little.
that? Why are you why are you letting yourself go through these things just to make art? Is that even worth it? Are you not more valuable than your art?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I've been talking. I said this with a few other artists because I realized there's not a lot of love songs anymore. There are way more heartbreak songs than love songs. And even the love songs, they're not as kind of ornate as previous eras. You'd compare the person's cheeks to roses and their eyes to caramel. Now it's just like, I love you, love me back. There's no richness to love. And I do think that, and I wonder if you feel this, I think that artists learn more than most people, especially because music is so soulful, that your life experience is an individual experience. Yet when we write to the universal experience, kind of what I was saying now. It's this weird yin
Mm,
and yang where it's like, I know because I'm an artist, because I'm very spiritual, as hard as it is, I realize it's my soul going through this life journey beyond my community, my history, my everything. It's just my soul. And I think artists realize that. And in an odd way, it helps them write to the bigger picture. And knowing that the bigger picture is now only about heartbreak, I think says something about our world.
yeah, it's because songs are gonna reflect. See, to me, it's reflective of how people love, though, because people don't know how to love anymore. People don't even know the essence of love anymore. It's love now is based off of a superficial or vanity now. What can this person do for me instead of sacrifice? Nobody talks about sacrifice, the
Mm.
true definition of love in songs anymore. People think
Ooh.
about like, oh, she's bad, or oh, he got money, or he's got status, and it's like that's not love, or that's all vanity. Those are things that actually don't actually add up to anything. Those things could be taken away in a day.
Yeah.
So until you really have true understanding of love, you're never going to be able to write a song about love. How can you express something that you know nothing about? And I
Mm.
think that my generation doesn't really move with that kind of understanding. And it's easy. I know when you're in the studio, it's easier to write a song that's just about like universal love, or like, you know, the way society depicts love.
Yeah. Yeah, I never saw it like that, but it makes sense, especially when you think of how we sing to love. It's very carnal and fleshy and materialistic. And it's funny you say that because even the artists singing to love materialistically, there is when you look at their relationships and how many times they break up, their relationship was very aesthetic too. It's like posts and what is she wearing while she's with him? It is a very which is sad, I guess now. Now I'm a little sad. It's a very
Yeah,
sensory experience. But we're getting to our last few minutes, and I didn't know if you would like. I always pull like oracle cards to like see what you feel, or they're all positive. Would you like me to pull you some?
sure.
Would you like tea leaf or moon cards? Which one would you like?
Tea leaf.
Ooh, tea leaf. Okay, these are so interesting. Oh yeah. Okay, so let's see what's coming for you. Ooh, a wish will be granted. I love that card because when it comes out, it means something really deep that you've been desiring is about to manifest. Bread, a period of prosperity and abundance. Ooh,
Okay.
and October. So with these three cards, I get the feeling from these cards, and maybe because we're doing a music interview, that this has to do with your career. And that October is a particular month. Either by October or during October, you're going to feel like, wow, there's a level up in my career that I'm really enjoying right now. Are you releasing anytime before October?
Definitely.
Because you might have a hit by then, like a really, like, we're on the radio, hello, like, I'm number one. Like, it's feeling like that. So let me pull out a few more for you. Carrot, opportunity or windfall. Interesting. Wheel, indecisiveness, allowing your life to ramble aimlessly. Ooh, and September. So that you're getting a lot of months. So it seems like with this September, that fall is going to be super important to you. So what I'm getting
Mm,
is this carrot, opportunity or windfall, or wheel, indecisiveness. This summer is going to be a little crazy in terms of, or like the next few months, just like planting everything, making choices. And what carrot feels like the most important card because it's opportunity or windfall. So what it's saying is either go for everything, become the ultimate yes person for yourself and your intuition, or lose.
mm.
Opportunity or windfall are two extremes. And you got bread, which is prosperity. So it's kind of saying like you're going to have to become the biggest leader to yourself in these next few months because you've got a major opportunity coming in terms of your career that could bring you abundance that you will see results in by fall.
Wow, that's interesting. Wow, and what are those called?
They're called tea leaf cards. We got 6 minutes, so let me see if I could pull you three more. But yeah, it feels like you're on the cusp of a really big door in your life. Yeah. And it's kind of saying you gotta go for it. Go for it, go for it. Yeah, you got carrot again. I said this was the most
Okay.
important card I shuffled for you. You got celebration and you got pay it cane, pay attention to your health. I felt with the cane that it could be physical health, but cane also means mental health. So in these
Mm,
moments, remember when your life gets chaotic, your life always gets chaotic before the party. You know, like when you're planning a party, everybody's all over the place. Like, where are the drinks? It's kind of like you're planning your party right now, and just make sure you don't slip, either physically or mentally. Just be vigilant. Now's
wow.
the time to be clear.
Mm,
Yay.
wow. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing those with me.
Yay, they're tea leaf. You
Mhm.
could get them. I think they're on Amazon. And, anytime you feel like you want a little clarity, you just pull three and be like, what should I do? What should I feel? Or my intuition? Because those cards, it seems like whatever your message is, it's your intuition is going to need to be on 10 to get
Okay.
that
Mm,
happy fall. Yay.
okay. Yeah. Do you have any other questions for me or
No, no. I mean, we spent
for
nearly 40
minutes?
minutes. It's supposed to be a 50-minute interview. So we
Oh,
got
okay.
no, and I meant that for you because I know you have the other things to do. I don't know if you have
Yeah, I
more
have to go to the
interviews.
studio. Yeah.
Yeah, but good luck. I mean, I'm very happy for you. You've got good things coming.
I believe so. So do you. You know, great things are happening for you and for your platform. I'm excited to see how things grow and and how they go. So yeah, just keep doing what you're doing. You're making great things happen for artists, and I'm excited. You're in New York. Where in New York are you?
Brooklyn. I'm from the BX, but I'm
Okay.
in Brooklyn.
Okay. What part of Brooklyn?
Um, well, it's called Little Caribbean, Crown Heights. I live like in the Little
Okay, for
Caribbean
sure.
strip where all the Caribbean people are, so I'm home.
Yeah, I know. Okay,
Yeah. But when you said Jamaican, I was like,
amazing.
yay. And then you said New Jersey, and my inner New Yorker was like, you, New Jerseyans. You're just a
Yeah,
bridge
I mean,
away.
I know. We're two bridges, really, but
Yeah. Are you coming to New York anytime soon?
probably,
Yeah.
probably. I'll figure it out. But I'm probably gonna be in New York at some point.
I hope
Summers in New
this
York
summer.
are yeah. That's the
You
time
gotta
to be in New York for real.
There's no better place in the world than New York in the summer. It's just so unique. And it's
Yeah,
just 2 months. It's just 2 months
July
of
and August.
perfection. Yeah.
Yeah,
July and August, late June, maybe a little bit of late June, but it's just
but the
like,
beginning of September is good too.
yeah, I like the beginning of September in terms of it's kind of like it's this beautiful calm down. Like things are still going like it's the summer, but the leaves are falling and everybody's like, I'm trying to ease back into the workforce mode. So
Yeah,
yeah, but I dig that.
yeah. Of
But thank you so much. It was great speaking
course.
to you and have fun at the studio. I hope to see you in New
Thank
York.
you.
Okay.
All right. Take care.
You're right.
Bye.